In this video, you're going to see how to install bathroom sink drain. And this is really special because this sink drain is super easy, especially if you're a beginner and you've never done this before. There are very few moving parts. There are less points of failure for water leaks. And in addition to that, you'll see how to offset the house DWV so that you can then connect to the P-trap that's connected to the sink drain. So here's our vanity cabinet, but the tricky part with this is the plumbing. So in a prior video, I shared how I did all the rough-in plumbing for this, and there's a sanitary tee right underneath here. So we have to connect this vanity cabinet to that sanitary tee, and what I want to show you is how I did the dry fitting for that. So this is pretty important. You know, you can see here that I have the drain, the sink drain, connected to a 6-inch extension tube that then goes into the P-trap, just all 1.25 inches. In bathrooms, you can have 1.25 inches up to 1.5 inches. And then that P-trap, that trap arm, goes into a trap adapter. This happens to be a male trap adapter, and I'm going to take all this apart and show you how I did it. And then that goes into a street 45 that goes right into my sanitary tee. And the reason why I'm doing the setup like this is I want to try to maximize the amount of room on this shelf. This shelf it's a 2-tier, and because the vanity cabinet isn't terribly big, I want to try to ensure that we maximize the space for storage. But the bottom line is offsetting this. And so you can offset it horizontally, you can't offset it vertically. That would create an S-trap, which is against code. But I can offset it with that street 45, and let me share with you how I did that. But again, before I do that, I dry fit all of this together on purpose, and then I marked the location of the street 45 with another mark on the wall, and that's going to help me solvent weld everything together. This is my street 45. So you can see I put a little mark there. I actually adjusted this a little bit. My original mark on the wall was left of that. But I want these two marks to kind of line up like so that this is level, if pitched, if not pitched, just a little bit more upward, so that when water comes in via the trap arm, it's got that slope, you know, it's sloping just a little bit, just a preference. This is a trap adapter here. This is a male trap adapter. It comes with this slip nut, which I left on the trap arm. This is a trap arm, 1.25 inches. You can buy these P-trap kits at your home store or plumbing supply warehouse, and you can cut this trap arm to the size that you need using a special tool. This is just a rigid tube cutter. For whatever reason, these little tools are now expensive, but they're awesome, and they work for both 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches thin-walled PVC tubing that goes into your, street L in this case. So this is a great tool for cutting those to size. What I need to do is disassemble this and solvent weld the male adapter into the street 45. This is what the street L looks like. This fitting goes right into the sanitary tee that's inside the wall. We can only offset horizontally so that we don't create an S-trap, which can then siphon water out of the P-trap, and that allows sewer gas to get into the bathroom. So just keep that in mind. So for this, I'm going to be using OD clear primer for PVC and regular clear PVC cement. Now, depending on where you're located, they might require that you use purple primer, just as a clear indication that you actually, primed everything properly. But I'm going to be using clear primer because you're going to be able to see everything under this sink, and it's just really out of trying to keep everything neat and clean. So what I like to do is the fitting first. So it's pipe fitting, because you can put the fitting down if you have to. So we're gonna go ahead and prime this. I try to do like 4 to 5 revolutions. I actually do more here. Then you can hold this with your pinky, or you can put the fitting down. So again, 4 to 5 revolutions. You can rotate it 180 degrees here. All right, try not to get I hold it at an angle so I don't get any of this on the threads. Then we have our cement. Okay. And so we're going to go ahead and do the cement on the nail fitting as well, 4 to 5 revolutions. And I'll do this again here, 4 to 5 revolutions. And at this point, what we want to do is push this in and just rotate it 1/4 turn. In this case, I'm doing it a little bit more. You can see here, you just hold this for 30 seconds and that'll solvent weld this entire unit together. So it's really as simple as that, but you have to prime it and you have to use the right cement. Otherwise, this isn't going to work. Okay, so here's my mark, and I'm going to be very careful and diligent to align that with the mark on the wall. So my sanitary tee is in here. I'm going to go ahead and prime this first. So again, 4 to 5 revolutions, you can reverse it. And then this is our street L. So again, 4 to 5 revolutions here. And we'll do the same thing inside. Again, this is our cement. So 4 to 5 revolutions. Again, 4 to 5 revolutions on the street L. Then I hit this up one more time and I'll slide this in there, and then we'll just hold that and we put it where we want it, okay? Which is right there where my marks are. So it's nice to have a reference mark so that you know where you need to stop that rotation. So we just hold it there, and you know, I can't really fit my finger in there, but you know, I would wipe away the excess. But just hold it for 30 seconds, and that's all there is to it. Again, it's pretty simple and straightforward, but you want to do the 4 to 5 revolutions of the primer and the cement for both the fitting and the pipe. In this case, the street L. And then if you do see any kind of cement in here, you just want to remove that. Okay, so this is now a permanent fitting, permanent connection, I should say. So there you go. Now it's offset just a little bit so that we can maximize the size, or I'm sorry, the storage space in our vanity cabinet. I totally understand that there are a lot of supplies and tools for projects like this. So if you want my supply list, just comment tools down in the comments and I'll give you a link to my written tutorial that has the full supply list and even more tips. So now, we'll slide the vanity cabinet into place. So we gotta just move this over a little bit. I'm going to show you how to install the drain. This is a special drain. It's called a pop down drain. And so the cool thing is, this is the actual position that it's in when it's functioning. It's flush, as you can see here, the actual pop-up part. And that's pretty cool. The other thing is, this is super easy to install. There are only 3 parts to it, actually 4. But this goes together, and then you have like a rubber gasket here that will go on the underside of the sink. There are actually 2 components to this. This is a thick sink, so I'm just going to use this rubber gasket on the underside. But they do have another piece that you can use for a thin sink configuration. And it's really a nice option for sinks of all different sizes. Plus, I love how easy it is to install. By the way, that other part, this is where it looks like it has another rubber gasket on it, and it just spins into place. But I don't need this for that sink. So the first step is to take this flange apart, and we want to apply silicone or sealant to the underside of that. The directions specifically say to use silicone, not plumber's putty. So that's what we're going to do. For this, I'm going to be using Lexel. Lexel is actually a sealant. It's not silicone, it's clear. And I'm going to apply a pretty generous bead to the underside of this. So just continually apply this here. Biggest thing is to not drop it. So there you go. Kind of looks like that. If anything, you can apply some to the actual, drain here. I'd rather it be messy and waterproof than not. Okay, so this is going to ooze out. We just want to push this down like so. Then I'm going to use a Goo Gone wipe to clean up the excess. So I'll just hold this down like that, and then we'll scoop the excess off here. And I'll do this like a few times with a few different wipes. So this is just kind of like an initial cleaning here. Okay, and then the two other parts are pretty simple. Again, we just have this gray part, and then you have a rubber gasket. It just goes on top like that. And it's so simple, we're just gonna screw this into the bottom. So now what we're gonna do is just come up underneath here. So the cool thing is, this just spins on. You wanna hold the first part that you put in while you're doing this. And you can just really hand tighten it. You don't need any other tools. If you want to, you can put some you can put silicone, or you can put the Lexel on that gasket. So that's what it looks like from below. And then we come above, and that's what it looks like. So the cool thing for this pop-down sink drain is how simple it is. And it has this little thing on it such that it goes right down into the drain. This comes in chrome, but you can see here, it just goes down like that. And it's like flush with the top of the piece that I put in. But if you want to, and you want to engage this, it goes down further. And the benefit to this particular pop-up design is that if you drop a ring down in here or jewelry, you know, it's going to stay hung up on that sink pop-up drain. So that's how you install it. For me, the next step is to go ahead and, you know, install the P-trap with my house DWV. This connector, this male adapter, trap adapter, it can fit 1.5 inches as well as 1.25 inches. The first thing I would do is dry fit all this together, which I did before all this, and then, you know, make sure it's going to work, and then I do my solvent welding. Also, by the way, I screwed this cabinet to the wall, so I fastened it to the wall so that it's not going to move. The first step is to add our slip nut. So this is going to go up. Then we have our rubber gasket here. The beveled side should face down, right? Because it's going to make a seal with our 6-inch extension tube that I cut the size. This is an extension tube. These come in multiple sizes, but you can always trim them using a tube cutter. And then what I did is add a slip nut and a rubber gasket to the bottom of this. So what's going to happen is this is going to slide up like so. And I'm just going to temporarily add my slip nut here. You can see, like, I should still be able to move it kind of up and down. This is a trap arm. So for the trap arm, you know, you have a slip nut here, all right? And then we're going to have an adapter ring here. This can actually fit 1.5 inches, but it goes on top of a 1.25 inch trap arm. And the nice thing is this can adapt my 1.25 inch tubing to my 1.5 inch house DWV. So with this special slip nut here, you can take this off. Usually they do give you a similar adapter, but it's got, like, you know, plastic, which I don't like. And you just pop this off. Now this says, you know, this, you can use this with 1.25 inch. So you can get these at most home stores. Now the thing is, we got to take this off, add that slip nut on, and the slip nut goes up against the flat side of this rubber gasket. The beveled side goes into the adapter. All right. So this will go in like this, and we'll just get this started as well. And you can see I can move that back and forth, which is what I want. And then here's our P-trap. The vertical side of the P-trap goes up against my tubing here. And then this side goes over to the trap arm, like so. So what I would recommend doing is getting this part of the trap arm connected to your P-trap, okay? So you just want to move this back and forth, P-trap down, I should say. So what I'd recommend is getting the trap arm connected to the P-trap first, and then doing everything else. So it just kind of makes it a little bit easier on you to get that, trap arm connected. Okay, so these slip nuts just have to be hand tightened. You shouldn't have to use any type of tool to tighten them because they're just making a watertight, waterproof seal with the tubing and the rubber gaskets. So if we zoom in here, you can see our connection to the pop down sink drain. That's what our 6-inch extension tube to the P-trap. P-trap connects to the trap arm connects to the trap adapter, which connects to my street L, and then my sanitary tee inside the wall. So that's what it looks like. And what I would recommend doing is once you get your sink faucet installed, run the water for like a solid 5-10 minutes and check and see if you have any leaks. And if you do, you just want to make sure that all of the slip nuts are as tight as possible up against the rubber gaskets. And sometimes you might put a rubber gasket in backwards. That could be a problem, and the bevel side just goes into the fitting or the pipe. But that's it. Remember, if you want the written instructions for this project, just comment tools down in the comments, and I'll send you the link to those as well as the supply list. So thanks for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments, and I'd be happy to help you out.